Hey everybody, Craig Lurch here again. Empowering experiences, disrupting real estate, and having fun selling real estate. eXp Realty. Hey, we got an awesome next 30, 45 minutes together with a dear friend of mine from Kansas City, Brad Korn. He has been known, see how he's already jumping on the bandwagon that he has Andy Reid and Holmes and stuff. See how he is? See, I told you he's going to be full of surprises. Well, I can tell you I had an opportunity just to chat for about 5 minutes yesterday with him. I had to pull over to the side of the road. I was so excited about every damn thing I was hearing. I was like, hold on, I got to stop. How do you do this? How do you do that? And let me tell you something. Your mind's going to go boom. I didn't even know you could check out some of this stuff. I got home last night and said to my wife, Linda, I said, do you know you can do this on your iPhone? I was like, no. So all right, I'm not going to let it out of the bag. But a couple things. We always try to share books of ideas of what we want to do. All right, first of all, I always say read more. The second you stop reading is the second you're going to become extinct. So there was a great book written by a gentleman by the Michael Gerber who had written on processing your business, how to get your business to grow. So Brad, being the cutting edge of what he wants to do, wanted to write the E-Myth of real estate, and he co-authored it with Michael Gerber. So you get a chance to get the book, there you go. That's the book. And again, at the end, anybody's going to want to reach out to Brad, I'm going to be able to connect you to him and all that stuff. He's got fantastic ideas. He's been on HGTV. He's got accolades off of every NBC thing. He's two-time coach award. He's got his own coaching program, and he can take agents from literally, like we've always said, 0 to 100, 0 to 100 million, or just 0 to 20. And why do it all in 1 year? Do it in 1 month and take the rest of the year off. And this is also great because we've talked about this, and I've known Brad now, God, over 25 years. And at times I'll have to put these on. I don't think I wore these when you and I knew each other before, right?
Yeah.
There you go. But one of the things is definitely going to be full of is energy. So get your pad and paper out. I know that I'm going to be rewatching this multiple times afterwards, taking all my pad and paper out. So Brad, welcome to us from Kansas City. Let's get at this.
This is so fun hanging out with you, man, even if we got to do it virtually, but it's way more fun in person. Last time I saw you, dude, I was like, I blinked and missed you because you like gotten so freaking skinny. I almost missed you.
Yeah,
you're
right. Well, we got to work on that a little bit more. So
you're looking great, looking great.
But you're out on the road doing some speaking. You were sharing the story of your book. Tell me where the book idea came. Where did that passion or where did that thought pattern go?
Yeah, so I mean, it's actually interesting because you did say I wanted to write the book. Hell no, I wasn't an author. Michael Gerber said, you are writing this book with me because he's like, what you have done, you've done the E-Myth, Brad. You're a student. So let me back up a little bit. I'm going to take you back to 2015. Actually, Craig and I have known each other for a long time, been selling real estate for 30 years. And like a lot of people, man, I started my first 3 years in real estate. You know, I thought I was going to make $10,000 every time I sold a house. I made $10,000 my first year in real estate. I sold one house. Well, it wasn't even $10,000. So I didn't have all the help and the, people like you, mentors, just learning from each other and our group of agents. Man, guys, when you hang out with top agents today, they share everything. The right top agents share everything. It's all about life. It's about building a business and having fun. So when I moved back to Kansas City in 1995, I basically started all over and just started watching top agents like you and everybody else and just started implementing the things that you guys were sharing that you were doing. Well, I was implementing. I'm an implementer. So I started putting stuff into action and figured out what worked and what didn't work. Everything really came back to the core thing, which is meeting people every day in the community, adding them to the database, right? And Michael Gerber talked about it in E-Myth. So this all started probably about 25 years ago when he wrote E-Myth over 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. I picked it up and actually read it cover to cover, and he's basically talking to a lady about a pie shop, and she makes a great pie, right? So she opens a pie shop. That doesn't make her a great business person. So he talks to her about all that stuff. And one thing that stuck with me is, if your business isn't growing, it's dying. And then to me, what growing meant was I meeting people and being on purpose about meeting people in the community every single day and adding them to my database and then staying in touch with them. So I mean, there's so much out there today. All the training classes, all the webinars talk about relationships. They talk about it's about the follow-up. And then it all goes away. And follow-up is not all email. Follow-up is not some mass mailing part marketing thing. It's about you calling every single person you meet at least 4 times a year and just staying in touch with them. So I'm going to preface a little bit and then I'll tell you how I ended up with Gerber. And it's knowing that if the average person is moving every 5 to 7 years, then when we call people to look for business, our industry is driven to have us look for the next piece of business, look for the next piece of business, look for the next piece of business. And when you start calculating the numbers, if I talk to 100 people and they're moving every 5 to 7 years, for example, and let's just say 10 for even a roundup number, if it's a slow market, that means only 10 of those 100 people are actually moving this year. Problem is I'm talking to those 100 people this week. I'm on a massive lead generation day and I'm like all pumped about it. I'm in a class. So yeah, I'm going to call 100 people. I only get 1 appointment because of the 10 people that are moving this year, only 1 of those 100 people know they're the one that's moving this month. The other 9 people that are going to be moving don't know they're one until next month or the month after or the month after. So in essence, what I'm saying is if I would have just stayed in touch with those 100 people every month for the next 7 to 10 years, I would actually have 100 sales. And that's where everybody drops the ball. So I filled in that gap by feeding every single person into my database every day and being conscious of that. And then secondly, scheduling a follow-up call where they hear my voice for the next 5 to 10 years so that when they become the one, it's not a matter if I happen to actually call them that day, if I got that lucky. It's them calling me back going, hey, we know if it's real estate, we call you. You stay in touch with us. And I don't even have to talk about real estate. Don't have to really use scripts. Don't have to use any of that stuff, even though those are all important for when they are ready to get them to get where they need to go as fast as possible. Scripts are important, but not in creating a relationship, So anyway, that's what I did. So here's what happens. I'm going through, I read emails. So I set up my system to feed my database every single day. Just pay attention, make sure I'm putting people in I meet every single day, write them a note, and then just stay in touch with them. Create a campaign or an action plan that has calls built into it and just hit the start button. And then I'm not going to think about that person again until 3 months from now when they pop up on my list and say, hey, here's your calls for today. It's like, oh, Craig, I talked to him 3 months ago, because I know every 3 months they pops up on my thing, right? So I just call and check in. So I started doing that. And that's when I was paying attention to everything the top agents were telling me, putting those things into my systems, my follow-ups, all that. So 2015, we're going to fast forward, 2015. It's Friday 13th, March 13th. My wife is going to pick up a client for a closing on the other side of the state line. She was going to bring her back. She didn't have any family. She's like 80 years old. Over by the stadium where these guys reside and live and bring home championships to Kansas City, we got this highway where you come off I-70 and you come around onto this 435 South loop, and it's just like the death trap. There's like 3 different highways that merge right there. So my wife is by herself in the car going to pick up a client, gets clipped and spun around and takes a head-on collision. And she gets in an accident. She's in a little Nissan Juke. And you probably remember this, Craig. It was tough, man. She had been my business partner for 20 years. We were married for 20 years. And we built a big business selling 100 homes a year, right? So anyway, she survives the accident. But I'm actually with Pat Wadham in Louisiana speaking at her company event, sharing some database stuff, right? So I get the call that my wife was in an accident. She's okay, but she's in the hospital. So I flew home on the next flight. And so we had about a 12-week recovery where taking on a head-on collision, it shoved her leg back through her hip socket, shattered her hip. She's 42 years old, has shattered hip. She gets the surgery. She gets on crutches for 12 weeks to heal. And she really can't put any weight on her hip, right? So 12 weeks, gets off crutches, kind of getting back into normal. And again, I've never experienced a head-on collision like that, so I don't know what was really going on. But she was, we were easing her back in, bringing her back into work. 2 more weeks passed. She's completely off crutches, got 2 new cars. We're just plugging her back into life. And Tuesday morning, June 23rd, she didn't wake up. She was in bed, sleeping. She was actually snoring. And after the surgery, she really had some insomnia. And so we're trying to figure that out. We had some nose surgery done to see if we could help her breathe and sleep at night. So that had just been done a week prior. And that Tuesday morning, she was snoring. So I let her sleep. And I was like thinking, all right, I'm not waking her up, right? About 10:30, my daughter comes in and says, hey, why is she still asleep? Tried to wake her up, and we didn't get a response. She's still breathing, like snoring, like a trucker kind of snore, right? So I'm thinking everything, nothing bad ever happens to me or us, right? And I'm not going to call the doctor right away, but as soon as we couldn't get her to respond, we called 911. They came in, they stabilized her, nothing, everybody acted like it was no big deal. I mean, we'll figure it out. But then they lost her on the way to the hospital for about 4 minutes, and they got her back. Got her into the ER. They lost her for another 4 minutes. And that 8 minutes of no oxygen to your brain will kill a brain. So parts of her brain died off. And when you hear about like somebody becoming a vegetable, that's what my wife became that day, my business partner. And we had to put her into a coma. And the next 5 months was coma in hospitals with nodes and everything, trying to figure out what was going on, trying to get her back. And after 5 months, a long battle, took her to Lincoln, Nebraska, 3 hours away. And this is the important part. So I have a team selling, or not even a team. We had an assistant and one buyer's agent, me and Sonia. Our team had gone down to 4 people at that time. We had a big team at 9, and then they all got in a fight and everybody exploded and disappeared, and we got back down to 4. So while this was happening, me and Sonia are in Lincoln, Nebraska every single day. I'm trying to wake her up. She's in a coma. My assistant and my buyer's agent are back here just, the system's running and it's just telling them what to do every day. And our phone's ringing with business. And I was out of my business for 5 months in Lincoln, Nebraska, 3 hours away, coming back one night a week to do my listing appointments because I was a listing agent. I had one buyer's agent and one assistant. And we sold 97 homes that year. So from June until November, I was out, sold 97 homes that year. And literally, Craig, it was January of 2016. I was sitting there, I looked over on my bookshelf and I saw the E-Myth and I went, freaking, it was Gerber. Gerber gave me 97 sales, the systems that I put in place that helped me do 97 sales while I was gone, and not once during that 5 months did I have to worry about how my house was going to get paid, my car paid. I didn't even pay attention to it till afterwards. I'm reflecting on this going, dude, like my bills were paid. So I was there with Sonia, focused on getting her back. And unfortunately, it didn't end up the way I wanted it to or thought it would. But anyway, I just called Gerber. Google's awesome today. And like Craig just found out, man, you can find a lot of stuff about everybody everywhere, right? So when people say, how do I get somebody's address so I can write them a note? It's freaking on the internet somewhere, all right? So I Google Gerber, get a phone number, Michael Gerber, right? I Google him, I call this number, and I just leave him a message. Hey, this is Brad Korn, Kansas City. You don't know me from Adam. I read your book 25 years ago. I applied the systems, and my wife was in a coma, and I sold 97 homes. He called me back the next day, like Michael, and he's got a very distinct voice. So when he calls, he's got that raspy 80-year-old guy voice, right? So when you hear it, you're like, holy crap, this is Michael Gerber, right? And he's like, tell me your story. I mean, and he's just said, you're a student of my book. We need to write E-Myth Real Estate Agent. That's why I say I'm not really an author. And how he got this book out of my head, readable. I mean, I write like I talk right now. And I'm telling you what, when you read this book, I read it over and over again, go, dang, that's a good book, and I don't even know how I was the one that wrote it, but it did take me 2 years to get it down, get it all on paper, get it tweaked and to where it was readable. So that's how the book came about. And, to this day, we sell 70 to 100 homes a year, just pretty much on autopilot. And that's what I have to share with everybody. It's like my life mission.
Well, that's the key. I mean, and then I remember when you were going through that, I remember crying with you and all that stuff. I'm trying not to now, but couldn't imagine it. But there's a good that came out of it. You helped write a book. You've helped change a lot of lives with it. You've traveled around the country sharing those ideas. But I want to point out to everybody, because this is not just going to real estate agents right now. There's a key point there, a couple things. One is, Brad, you didn't have a job. You had a business. There's a difference. A job is something you go and you get paid at for doing the chore. The business is something that can run without you. And same thing with your life. If you put in all those big rocks we've talked about, your life, in other times, we've talked about the Stephen Coveys, another one to go look at, the 7 Habits of Successful People, and also putting the big rocks in. There's videos on it. But if you put those things in, just like Brad said, it's going to work in life. It's going to work in any business. It can work in the florist business. It could work in the plumbing business. It's a matter of having relationships. We're also caught up about what are we seeing on social media about diamonds and cars and all that. Share something about yourself. So help somebody, do something, get out of the reality world of the TV shows. And by the way, everybody, they are taped, aren't they, Brad? You did the HGTV. It wasn't all there. They edited it. They made it work, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm telling you what, an HGTV show, you're shooting 8 hours of filming for really a 15-minute segment. That show, My House is Worth What? It might be half an hour long, but they're featuring 3 agents. So it's like 10 minutes of actual live time. But it was fun. It was cool to do it.
It was cool. But here, I want you to go deeper into, let's say a person says, oh my gosh, I'm brand new in the business. Or, oh my gosh, how do I build my business and I don't have a database? Yep. You showed me and told me something yesterday. And, yep. and literally, it is on these things. You'd have no idea. I thought this phone was worth tens of thousands of dollars. This phone is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars now. Nobody steal it. I have a small aneurysm. But, you showed me something yesterday and told me something that was amazing. Share that idea with everybody. No matter what the business.
Yeah. And I'm going to share this with you because as you systematize this and you make it a system, here's the thing. With systems, I was able to meet my new wife. So I know I gave you a sad story to start out. I am married to the most amazing woman that after 20 years losing your wife, to actually have another chance at an amazing life, living at the lake. Our kids are all blended. Our families are blended. She is so much fun that this is the part. If I didn't have those systems in place and things weren't running automatically, I would have totally missed her. Because she came about 4 or 5 months after Sonia passed, and the last thing I was doing was looking, right? So when she showed up, I was able to see it because I wasn't sucked into I call it the rat race, the grindstone of just going out and finding the next deal. So here's the thing. Everybody listening, if you're in real estate, you have 100 sales at least sitting there, they're getting away from you. And you don't have to look very hard to find them. So when Craig and I were talking, it was like, here's what I want you to do. Go to your Facebook, log into your Facebook. You probably got it open on a window. Just pull it up and look at your friends list. Write down the number, right? So on your Facebook friends list, you probably have, I ask this all around the country when I speak. I hear 500, I hear 800, I hear 3,000, I hear all kinds of different numbers, right? So if I averaged what I've heard hundreds and hundreds of times from hundreds of agents, they've got 1,000 people on average. Now, if you're a real estate agent and you have 2 people on your Facebook friends list, dude, get out. It's a social business, right? Second thing is your cell phone. Just look at your contact records. Go to your contacts, and you should be able to scroll to the bottom and see it. I think the Android version, it actually tells you how many contacts you have in there. Find out how many contacts are actually in your phone. Again,
you don't have to count them. I was starting to do that. He's like,
yeah, it's technology. There's got to be a way to, yeah.
And what was it also? Don't put the letter in. Put zero letter in fresh, and then just start scrolling like you're throwing money out. Just keep going like this.
So all I'm talking about right now is just if we focus on your Facebook friends list and your cell phone contacts list. Again, you're going to have 500 to 1,000 here, really probably more like 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 people if you've been in real estate for a while. You're going to have 2,000 or 3,000 people on Facebook if you've been in real estate for a while. If you're new, you're just getting started. But here's the thing. So the average person, how often does the average person move, Craig? What does NAR say?
NAR says probably 8 years. I'm going to pick 10.
Yeah. 8, 10. You guys, anybody listening might say 5 or 7. That's what NAR's been saying ever since you and I got into real estate. When the market crashed in 2005, 6, 7, 8, right in there, we started to see people upside down in their house, and they were in their house 10 years. Actually, let me pause for 1 second. You know how I know it for a fact it's 10 years? because in my follow-up systems that I've had for 20 years prior to the crash, I have a campaign that runs, and it's called the 10-year follow-up plan. Every single person I sell a house to, well, everybody goes into my database goes on a plan. And at the end of that plan, it says the plan ended, restart another one, so that I never forget who's in my database. So that's the first thing that we're talking about here, is getting every single contact record on some kind of plan. Whether that's an all email drip plan because you have no clue who they are and you just want see if you can get 1 or 2% of them to convert, or you go through your database and actually talk to every single person and move them over to that plan I said, where they get a call from me 4 times a year, right? And start getting the relationship going. So on that 10-year plan, it ends at 10 years. Never in 20 years have I ever seen the end of that plan, because when somebody calls me at year 5, year 7, year 8, and they're ready to move again, we stop that plan, delete the rest of it, and start them on the new seller to list to offer plan, or the seller ready to go plan, or the buyer plan, whatever that plan is, right? And then when they buy a house, we stop that and we start the 10-year follow-up plan again. Not until probably about 2010, I started seeing 10-year plans ending. They were still in their house, had not moved because they were upside down. I had to create a 10-year to 20-year plan. So now I do actually put several people on a 10-year to 20-year plan, but not really that often. I actually have 1 or 2 people on a 20 to 30-year plan. But out of a database of 10,000 people, 1 or 2 people stay in the house longer than 20 years. I bet you there's probably 2-3 dozen that might be on the 20 to 30-year plan. So most people, or the 10 to 20-year plan. And most people are still in that 10-year plan. So we're just going to say 10 for easy's sake, right?
Yeah.
So if we say 10 years and you have 1,000 people between Facebook and your cell phone list, everybody listening probably has pretty close to that or way higher. So for that 1,000, if they're moving every 10 years, there's my 100. 100 of the people you already know, who you are, you know who they are because they're on your Facebook friends list. I mean, if Facebook says your friends, right? If they're in your cell phone, they called you or you called them, you guys have crossed paths. So you might have to reconnect with these people, but they're out of those 1,000 people, 100 of them are moving for sure. Before referrals, before sign calls, before internet leads, 100 of them are moving, not counting their buy side. We're just talking about their sales side, right? 100 moves for sure. If you've got 2,000 people, it's 200 people. And really, if they're moving every 5 years in a hot market, now we're at 400 sales for every 2,000 people, or 200 people are moving for every 1,000 people. I know I'm throwing numbers like crazy, so pull me back in. If you have 1,000 people, 100 of them are moving for sure. So there's your 100 right there. And you already have it. You already cross paths with them. You might have to reconnect with them. And I got a free resource site that I put together. It's literally the title of the book, emythrealestateagent.com. You go in there, you register.
Once we'll see it, we'll get it out to you.
Yeah, log in your information, hit submit, and you will start on my drip plan that actually just says, hey, now you get to experience what I do when I meet somebody and cross paths with somebody. Now you're kind of getting the automated email version because you and I haven't committed yet or talked yet. But if you like the information that's on the free resource site, you're going to track me down however you have to find me, and we're going to connect, and I'm going to help you with your business, right? And then you probably will become that relationship site. So anyway, that's what kind of happens. So you fill that in, it'll take you to a resource site, and you can see a reconnect plan on how to reconnect with your database. But here's what I do. 1,000 people, we're just going to stick with this number right now. We know 100 of them are moving. You're starting today after listening to this call.
Not tomorrow.
Right.
Today. We're in the year.
From today.
2022.
Yeah. From today forward, every single person you meet from now on that you have a two-way conversation with, I want you to think, I'm connecting with this person. I need to get them in my database and write them a note. Database note, database note, database note, database note, right? Everybody I connect with, I do the database and the note, and then I start the follow-up plan.
Tell me about the note. What do you mean?
The note, yeah, just a quick note. Hey, Craig, it was great hanging out with you today. You are so awesome. Love your energy. Got a great show. Looking forward to keeping in touch. Brad, that's it. Because Here's where you got to separate your brain from what you've been taught and where we're going with this. Find the next deal, find the next deal, find the next deal, right? If you can just layer in knowing that 98% of the people I meet today are not moving today. Let me say that again, where the math came from. 1,000 people, 100 are moving. That's 10%, right? 10% divided by 12 months is about 1% per month. Do you realize everything we do in real estate for lead generation is a 1% return? The highest numbers I've seen on internet leads or anything is about 3%. There is nobody converting 50% of their internet leads into closed business the month it comes in. It's just never going to happen.
It takes time.
Yeah. So knowing that if only 1% are moving today, guess what? I don't have to talk about real estate. I just need to capture them, send them a note, no business card, no PS if you know somebody buying or selling, because I've got a 98% chance they don't, right? And once I'm following up with people, I don't need to remind them I'm in real estate. We're connected, and you are the real estate agent. And if anybody talks about real estate, I'm having to call Brad. I mean, Brad knows real estate. I don't even have to tell him I know real estate. It just happens, right? So if everybody you capture from this day forward on, and you did, just say you did 5 a day. If you just focused on 5 notes a day, 5 connections a day, and you did that 5 days a week. So that's 25 connections a week, 25 note cards, right? That's 100 a month. That's 1,200 a year. 1,200 people in a year, if you really made this your plan, and this is just layered underneath everything else you're doing. As soon as you meet your 5 people, write your 5 notes, go do whatever you were doing to find the next deal. Go do your open houses, go do your FSBOs, go do your expireds. You're not quitting that. We just got to layer this piece in, right? And when you get good at this, all this other stuff becomes these people that you stay in touch with. So 1,200 people in a year, Craig, is 120 to 240 transactions without ever getting another lead, sign call, ad call, internet lead. There 240 of them are moving in the next 5 years. So all I got to do is stay in touch with them. So here's the part that's tough. It's going to take you a year at 5 a day. You can't get your 1,200 in this month. It's not going to happen. You'll burn yourself out so bad you'll quit doing it. You'll go right back to what you've been doing before, and you're going to always be stuck in that 1 to 2% conversion rate. So this is the 100% conversion rate, and it's a 10-year plan. So how many of you are getting out of real estate this year? This is your last year in real estate you're getting out, right?
Most realtors don't retire; they just phase out. Because
right. Even you and I. I mean, I consider us the old dogs, right? But we're old.
Well, let's call us the old young dogs.
Well, yeah, we're the distinguished old dogs.
When Brian and Moses and I were talking the other day, I mean, he said he was 55. I'm 57, and yes, I'll keep saying it because I'm proud of it. But in my world, as Linda has said, you know, you act like you're 27. But yeah. I kind of feel like I'm 37, to be honest, you know, especially with the recreation, like the things that we've learned through COVID and all that stuff. But
yeah. Yeah, see, all I did was I pretend like I'm 16 and I'm really about 26. So here's the deal. It's like out of those 1,200 people, and I kind of forgot where I was going with this. We started chatting. So out of those 1,200 people, if I'm going to focus on this and I'm going to do 5 a day every day, I'm going to add 1,200 people over the year. I'm not getting out of business this year. In fact, how many of you are getting out of business in 5 years? Probably not. Do you know 5 a day for the next 5 years? If I did 1,200 connections this year, 1,200 connections next year, 1,200 the next year, 6,000 people over the next 5 years. This is my retirement real estate plan to get 6,000 relationships in my database. That is 600 to 1,200 sales a year. When Craig said 100 in a month, in 5 years, you could be closing, and they're going to be calling you, right? So don't think individual agent. When you get to 10 sales a month, you're going to need an assistant because now the phone's coming in faster than you can handle business. Now you're going to hire the right person that can handle the load versus you do something to get 10 sales in 1 month that's not like going to be last. And now you got to find 10 deals the next month and find 10, you know, these internet things where you sold 40 houses from social media. If they sold 40 houses every single month for their whole career for 10 years, I'm paying whatever they want for that plan. Usually that's not the plan, right? It's the layer of everybody you meet when you master the relationship, and everybody you meet now doing all these other things becomes a relationship. You're going to close 100% of them every 10 years, 100% in 10 years, right? So 10% a year. That's what happens. And I kind of call it like make the phone ring again. This is you're making your phone ring where they're calling you. See, I don't lead generate anymore. I strengthen my relationships every single day, and my phone actually rings, right? And it's so much more fun. So you can fit life in, you can answer those calls, you get to set the appointments when they fit in your schedule versus trying to make a seller, believe that you're the best person on the planet to hire, and you got to convince them they need to hire you. These people come to you like, I've been told by 3 people I need to call you, right? Because you're everywhere. So 5-year plan, 6,000 people.
And I want to bring some up here. It doesn't matter at what level you are in your business. You can always start over. You can always recreate it. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. This is free. This is people in your phone. This is people that you've talked to. This is the dry cleaner you go to. This is the butcher you go to. If you're a secret agent and nobody knows what you do, you're standing in front of it and they don't know. They might think you're an airplane pilot. They don't know who you are. But if you're communicating, you're not throwing up on them about what you do, you're going to create a relationship. Remember, you're using their services. Tell them what you do and trade back. I always tell people that. How can I help you in your business, or how can I get your voice out there? You all be, seeing me do little videos at different stores in the area. Guess what? It's building that relationship, as you were saying. And it doesn't cost any money to pick up the phone. And yes, it costs some stamps. Yes, it's old school. And in my world, I've had to learn to write meter because I didn't do the good penmanship. And my wife did, and Linda did today, says, oh my God, you're horrible. But I take my time and I write slowly and I send them. But that's the king, is doing it. And it's a discipline. We've talked about that before, routine and discipline.
I'm glad you said this. This is the note that you would get from me, exactly how you'll get it. And I quit worrying about my handwriting. You won't even be able to read what that says. All you're going to see is that, and that's Brad, right? Because
Yep.
my return address, guys, this is the biggest thing. People say, I got to have my assistant write notes. No, this is Brad Korn took a minute to send you a note saying, man, it was awesome hanging out with you. Boom. That's where the relationship begins. Now, here's what the different thing is, everybody you meet. So I go, let's just say I'm going to go to for sale by owner and I meet them, right? And I don't understand this either. For sale by owners and expireds, shouldn't we be listing 100% of them if they were selling, right? But you can call 100 for sale by owners and 100 expireds and you get 3 listing appointments, right? Or 3 like actual listings. What the heck are the other 97 people doing? I don't get it, right? So, but I go and I meet the for sale by owner, and in the driveway I write a note going, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to entrust, talking about marketing your home a different way. Look forward to helping you any way possible. Like, I do not use the words I, me, or my in my notes. Your home is awesome, great upgrade. You did a lot of the right things. Looking forward to helping you take advantage of the current market conditions and get the most equity out of your property. It's not about me. It's about them and their equity and all that stuff. And that would go in the mailbox as I pull out of their driveway. The next mailbox I drive by, it's going in the mail. They're going to actually get that mail time 3 days later. So they just met with me just about the time they're about to forget who I was. The letter shows up, right? And it's just like this, no business card, no nothing. And they get that, and it's like, boom, I just went over to another level. So I'm going to give everybody something tangible because I know we're probably close to the end of the call here. And if you've hung on this
And a couple of things I'm going to hit with you in a machine gun, though.
Yeah,
So,
if you are just a little bit excited about, oh my gosh, this is so simple, don't make it any more difficult than I just made it sound. It's talk to people, pay attention, get them in your database, and write a note. Have a stack of notes sitting there. So the first thing is notecardcafe.com. Notecardcafe.com is you can get 75 high gloss note cards, right, with envelopes for $16.99, 75 of them, blank inside, not branded. My very first note card from somebody is always not branded because everything else that comes is branded. I'm all about branding and marketing and mind share. But what I do first is I cross over first as somebody, oh, that's awesome that he took time to write me a note. This is actually Brad Korn's handwriting. This is what every note anyone would ever get from me looks like. And they know I wrote it, right? Not my assistant in pretty writing. That defeats the whole purpose of the note. So anyway, they get that. And now anytime I call them, they respect me enough, or I crossed over that they'll take the call. The second thing is like when I meet somebody, knowing that 98% of the people aren't moving right now, the last thing I'm going to do is put them on an all email drip plan, right? The person who is moving does go on an all email drip plan, but there's 98 other people that go on just a generic. I mean, it could be those old chicken soup from the soul stories. And, you know, sometimes you hear people say, we sell real estate. Why would you send them a recipe? Well, 98% of them aren't moving. That's why I'm sending them a recipe, right? And it's Brad Korn's favorite this or that, and we're connected. So this is the connection plan to build a pipeline, right? So I want to give you some tangibles. The best thing I can tell you to do, and you're not going to do it, you're already going to make this more difficult than I'm going to make it sound. Go to Walmart or wherever, buy a spiral notebook, you know, the college-bound little lines in a notebook. But on the front of it, I want you to write master list. This is your master list of everybody. You open that book up while you're Christmas break. You open up your Facebook friends list and just sit there until you get it done, because it's going to all mix around when you come back to Facebook next time. Start writing down every person's name in this notebook, every other line, so you can fill in their phone number and their address next to their name in this notebook, right? Don't try to get fancy. Do it in a spreadsheet. Yeah, old school. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. Right? Then you go through your phone and open that up. Craig, you know when you said you were going to start counting? Instead, you're just going to start writing down the name that's in there or the telephone number or whatever, right? I'll give you one bonus one. Open up your email, and everybody that you've received an email from and everybody that you sent an email to starts going in your master list, right? So I just keep going on those, all my sources to get in one notebook. Now what I'm going to do is be on purpose, maybe an hour a morning or something, to go through and Google search. There's a site called fastpeoplesearch.com, fastpeoplesearch.com.
F-A-S-T?
Yep. You're going to find them fast people search. That will probably find about 70% of the people. It's going to show up every address they've ever lived at, every phone number they've ever had, and sometimes their emails. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes not, doesn't matter. I open my notebook up, and if I don't have a phone number and if I don't have an address written down, I spend 5 minutes trying to find that information, because it's all about that person and connecting that's going to grow my business, not me taking 5 minutes to just call 5 more strangers, right? So I find that stuff and I just fill in my notebook. I find as many as I can. So there's going to be a lot of blanks. You're going to fill some in. You're going to find some in your email. They've got it in their signature line. They're in your phone. So you're already going to get a phone number from some of them. Sometimes it dumps in their email address. Sometimes under contacts, it dumps their address in there, right? Fast People Search. Go to Facebook. It'll tell you what city they currently live in. And then as a real estate agent, we have tax records, a little thing called tax records. You can search their city by their last name and find the tax records. So just start filling in. Get address and phone number. Now it's lead gen time, right? 9 o'clock, sun's up. I'm supposed to be calling people. I open my master list and I call anybody that I have a phone number and an address for until I get them to answer the phone. What's up, Craig? Haven't talked to you in a while. How you doing, man? Remember, 98% of the people aren't moving. Just checking in. I realize I haven't talked to you in forever. What have you been up to, right? Mm-hmm. So we go. Now we connect. I take you, I black mark you out of my master list. I added you into my database and started the follow-up plan. Does that make sense? And in that follow-up plan are it's already preset for the next calls to make. And you'll get emails from me and you'll get some letters in the mail, and there's some to-dos that pop up, say, go find him on social media. This might be 6 months later. Find him on social media and send a message. So it's like, oh, cool. So now I'm on purpose about social media, not playing in it, right? So anyway, I go until I just black everybody out of my master list when I get them on my system, my follow-up plan. So you're not going to have any duplicates. If there's a duplicate in your notebook, you go to your database and see you already got them in there. If you really connected with them and wrote a note, you're going to go, oh, I'm already talking to him regularly. So the object is to black that whole notebook out, only it's never going to happen because everybody you meet from this day forward is going in your notebook too. Everybody you meet and have a two-way conversation goes into this master list until you get them over to a connection in your system. So and then reconnecting with your current database. I mean, you might even want to take those addresses, all those names out of your database and put them in your master list and start over because you have to reconnect with them, right? So sometimes on that free resource site, I do have a reconnect plan where I tricked myself into doing this 5 times a day by sending a letter that says, hey, I realize I haven't talked to you in a while. Going to give you a call in a few days. Want to catch up, see how you're doing. That's the gist of the letter, right? So I set it up to where it would print 5 of those letters today on the first 5 people in my database. So they print, I put them in an envelope and I sign it and it says, P.S. I'm going to call you in a few days. And I also know my plan says there's going to be a call in 3 days. So I put that in the mail and then it's going to pop up with their name for my calls in 3 days. And I know they got the letter because I only did it with 5 people. So I have 5 calls to make today. But tomorrow it kicks out 5 more letters and it schedules 5 more calls for 3 days from now plus 1 day, right? 4 days from now. The next day, 5 more letters print out. So what I did was I went from A to Z, started these plans and backdated them until I got through every single contact record to get this letter and cleaned up my database that way. So when those letters come up and there's not an address in there, can't mail it. So I'm going to figure out how to find an address so I can mail this letter to them. If I can't find it, then they go on a 12-touch, all email drip plan for the rest of their life. Right? I mean, it's that simple.
How many, and hold on, I want to, everybody's probably wondering, how many people does Brad have in his phone?
Yeah,
I can guarantee it went up from yesterday because you met a couple more people.
I know. Yeah, I'm on Clubhouse app. So here's the cool thing about technology today. I don't even have to meet you face to face anymore. I mean, I am sharing stuff with some great coaches that these are top level people, very influential in their world. And I'm sending them notes, and I'm just Googling Tony Rodriguez over in New York, Northeast somewhere. He had COVID one week and he was a consistent speaker on a speaking app that we jump on and just share stuff, right? And he had COVID. I sent him a note. It actually came back and returned to me a week later, right? And so then I texted Tony and said, oh, Tony, I sent you something. He's back now. He's not even got COVID anymore. And I texted him on the back channel. I said, hey, I sent you something and it was returned. I must not have your right address. He goes, here's my address, right? And so because we're connected. And I send him I don't even change the note. I just took it out of the envelope and stuck it in a new one and put his right address on it. He got it. It was like, hey, bud, hope you get through this all right. And we miss you online. He's like, dude, I was already well by the time I got your note. But you know how awesome it was that you even wrote that for me back then? And here's the other thing. Guess who wrote him a note, wishing he would get better after he was better?
Nobody.
I got major score points to where now Tony's thinking Brad Korn all the time, man. He really is the note guy. So anyway, it's who I connect with, right? I don't write 20 notes a day. I may connect with some people along the way, but it's my strongest connections every day that I can write the note. I have the address. Other people I connect with, but I don't have their address yet. They're going to cross my path again, and it's just, if you do 5 a day, 1,200 people a year, the phone's just going to ring. I mean, don't even worry about it. You don't have to save the planet anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to turbo it 1 second on something somebody shared me the other day. I love the notes. I'm old school. I love the notes. It's trying to teach me to do some of this stuff too, that I just realized you can hold your phone sideways and hit the lower button and you can record looking at you. I thought my hand always had to be out of the way. Yeah. Okay. I'm the one that looks on the computer for the any key. And there is no any key, by the way. The guy said hit the any key to make the thing reboot. I'm like, there is no any key. But so some people just send a video. If you don't want to handwrite, if you want to be more technologically savvy, send 5 videos to somebody in your phone. Your phone's here, the people are here. You already have, hey, by the way, John and Mary, was just thinking about you. Hope all are well. If there's anything I can do for you, give me a ring. The world's changing. We're all coming out as COVID. We're looking forward to a brilliant 2022. Just think of it. But the point is, just do something is better than doing nothing. And we spend so much time, I guess, trying to be perfect. By the way, nobody's perfect. We've talked about this before. Be 70%. Get out of that 70% because most people aren't even doing anything. They're stuck in the sand. They're stuck in the sand. All right, right before we go, I want to throw a couple things real quick at you. If I said to you, what is the biggest thing you want to try to achieve in 2022 next year, what's it going to be?
My biggest achievement in 2022 would be helping 7 people do 100 sales a year just by following the 5 a day. If I can get 7 people to do this and do 5 a day for the next 12 months and they do 100 sales, then we can have those 7 people go share it with 7 people. And then those 49 people go share it with 7 people. I mean, this is about surviving in real estate, building a business and a life worth owning and having and all that stuff. And this should be infectious. I mean, it should be a viral, crazy plan. And it's layered under everything else we're already doing. It's just being human, connecting, making people feel good, and then you're the one that they're going to call, whatever the product or service is. I mean, I do this with all my affiliates. You were talking about any business. I do it with my AC person. I do it with my mortgage guy. I do it with my plumber. They're on my drip plans, and I call them 4 times a year, even though I see them throughout the year. That's my on-purpose stuff. So, yeah.
Like you were just saying, those people, I mean, I have a ton of, Linda's actually at times said to me, she's, what are you trying to be Gaggle instead of Google, whatever it is? Everybody calls you. Hey, do you know somebody for this? Yes, boom. Why does everybody just call you? I said, because I connect to a lot of people, and if people do a good job in business, I always like to refer them. I always like to help. I always like to help new businesses start, so all those things are there. So we're a great source also to call because we know tons of people. Okay, he has over 18,000 people in his contacts. I just wanted to throw that 18,000 contacts. So
Yeah.
And I've got, I think I came up, was it 4,777? So, but I think I added 2 more last night. But.
Well, and all your affiliates, so anybody like in the HVAC business, you become top of mind because you stayed in touch and you call. You just actually assume their whole database. Because when they're talking to their people and they're saying, yeah, we got the new AC, we're glad that thing crapped out and you got a new one in because we're thinking about selling in, next few months. Oh, you got to call Brad Korn. And so that's where the referrals start coming back big time.
Big time. Yeah. Well, I'm going to say, everybody, you want to get connected to Brad, there's information that's going to be posted below. You know how to get to me through Instagram, through Facebook, through my phone numbers of 215-778-6805. Brad is definitely disrupting the world of follow-up and creating business from ground up. He's definitely disrupted the world in how to create a more balanced life, because I know you have, and how to go from being down a rabbit hole to ultimately, grow into a top point. I want you to share one thing. You don't have to tell the whole story about it, but I know we all, he did this at Christmas time. And there was a picture that went out of an old camper that he had that was just stored around his campground and stuff like that. And he posted it, and everything was the shitters full from Eddie in Caddyshack. So somebody didn't like it. So Brad decided to kick it up a notch and have some fun. By the way, if you can't laugh and if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing it. So would you show everybody the picture, what he did with this streamlined trailer that somebody didn't like, and he then ultimately changed it for Christmas?
Yeah, so I ended up Clark Griswolding it, and my neighbor really appreciates this, but that's the one that's like, dude, you got to have fun in life. This should not make you mad. That should not, and actually, if you can't see it, there's Eddie right there with his little pipe cleaning it out. I got a Eddie mannequin sitting outside the camper. It's about having fun, guys. I mean,
how many lights are on that thing? You said
12? Over 1,200 feet of lights. So yeah, it was like 8 rolls of some 20-foot thing. I don't know. It's like crazy. 160 feet of lights.
Well, in a segue to that, you light up a ton of people's lives, just like that.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
And you let me up. I was sitting there taking notes. I'm like, man, I got to go to Note Card Cafe. I got to go to, Fast People. I'm like, I'm ready to run. I'm like, and remember, the herd is only as fast as the leader of the herd is running. So Right now, you're running full steam, full turbo, and I'm writing these things down. It's the hardest part.
And actually, no, it's about consistent, persistent. This is actually really boring. That's why I'm saying you're going to make this more difficult than it needs to be, because it's not automatic. It's not hands off. This is very hands on, but I'm talking 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day. You do that for a year. I don't care who you are. You will be the top agent in your office no matter what, because nobody can do 5 a day all year long, consistently, persistently. So in actuality, my mornings are very boring, very mundane. And that's what pays off in the long run, because my pipeline is so full that it's like they don't know who else to call but me. I'm the only person that stayed in touch with them for a year, 2 years, 5 years since we met. So and I just have fun with it. I know they're not doing real estate, so I'm not going to bug them about real estate. However, we still sell real estate, so there is some real estate stuff always in my stuff, right? I never let them forget that I'm real estate, and my logo's there, and everybody knows who it is. So, yeah, you guys will be able to find me between Fast People Search, Facebook, Google, Corn with a K. You're going to find me if you want to find me, right?
Reach out to me. I'll get you directly to them.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, have a great day. Brad, you're awesome. I look forward to seeing you again in live person, not just doing this.
Yeah, I love hanging out with you, bud. You are so much fun.
All right.
All right.
By the way, go. I don't want to tell you to win another championship. We'd like to do that. All right. Peace, my friend.